We don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hall Ride Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards of Hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Let's go Canes. Football is officially back, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Anything going on this weekend, Jess?
Oh, man. What a better way to start college football with a matchup that, let's put it this way. Let's whoop their ass. Let's go. Let's just whoop their ass. What better way? I mean, we already started off college football on a high note, right? I mean, we saw what happened this weekend in Ireland. Okay, so that's number one. All right, which we got to talk about it a little bit, right? We have to. Right?
You mean last place Florida State? Yeah, we should probably talk about them. So.
Last place. I love it. Or first place Georgia Tech.
Well, let's see what we got here. Yeah, I mean, kudos to Georgia Tech for going to first place, yes, but we got to talk about the last place team in the conference.
Oh man! Listen, before we get to that, because that's probably the first thing we'll talk about here real quick. It's game week, right? Game one, week one of officially of college football season. It returns this weekend. We got a lot of huge big matchups this weekend, but none bigger than the one that we have over in Gainesville as our Miami Hurricanes go up there to take on the Florida Gators. Big matchup between, us, top 25 program, number 19 right now in the coaches poll. Florida is a program that right now is in a bit of turmoil, right? We got a group of five, Billy over there, trying to make sure that he still has a job by the end of the month, potentially. Who knows? But an SEC football program and the Florida Gators, look, at the end of the day, we're going to the swamp. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere over there. And regardless of whether they are unranked or not, they still boast some talent from the state of Florida, from other places. And, of course, we come in riding high on this past recruiting cycle and transfer portal cycle where Mario really went all out or all in, however you want to call it, and brought in what we consider to be the right pieces, the right chips to the Miami Hurricanes puzzle, as we can say here, for them to make a run at the playoffs. So, but before we get to that really quick, I want to talk about week 0, right? Week 0 had a couple of, smaller school matchups, some FBS programs playing some lower tiers. One of the big games in that tier was Montana State and New Mexico. That was a Montana State came through and beat an FBS program for the first time in I don't know how many years. So that was kind of fun to watch. SMU, by the way, played another ACC program, played Nevada and just squeaked out a win over there. Rashard Smith is the starting running back, took Rooster's spot as a starting running back over at SMU. How about that? Ran one back for a touchdown and looked every bit as good as we saw him here in Miami. He's over there doing some big things at SMU, but that SMU team didn't look that good. Nevada almost put up a fight and almost beat him. So you got to watch out. Again, week 0, so there's a lot of kinks to work out for a lot of teams. But can you really work out a kink after losing on a last-minute field goal to Georgia Tech? I think the kinks are not. You're done. You're done right now. I'm just kidding. Look, FSU obviously dropped a big one. We're all happy about it here, obviously. But they dropped a big one over in Dublin to the Georgia Tech Rambling Wreck. Another program who's well coached, if you ask me. They've got some players over there. A lot of people are talking about why did Miami want Romello Height, where you kind of saw why Miami wanted Romello Height in this game. But let's kind of go around the horn here really quick on that game because we saw a lot of things. Vish, I'll start off with you. A lot of things that I've been kind of talking about, you've been talking about, we've all been talking about with regards to the transfer portal this time around for FSU. A lot of hype around DJU. I kept saying he's overrated. I don't think he's that good anyways. I'm glad Miami didn't get him, right? We trash talking a little bit, but he kind of showed why in the first half he was negative 0.1 yards per air on the air per throw, which kind of tells you a lot about what Mike Norvell is trying to do with him. Just doesn't trust him down the field yet. Is it too early to tell? What do you think about that FSU program after this first game against Georgia Tech, Vish?
Well, this will be something we'll talk about when we get to our game as well. Like, the quarterback matters. And you mentioned Georgia Tech is a well-coached team. They have the better quarterback. And that matters in close games. It matters in competitive games. Mike Norvell's a good coach. And he knew he had to manage his quarterback. There were times he took shots where there were guys open. DJU couldn't hit him. He tried to loosen up the defense that way, but it started turning into a game where he's like, if I open it up more, this guy's going to start throwing interceptions left and right. And so he had to try to grind it out. And when you have to do that, it's not an easy way to win. The quarter. Look, we know, right? There were not a lot of high quality portal quarterbacks this year. We all, have gotten very used to the idea of Cam Ward being here. Remember, he declared for the draft, and there was that period in there where we're kind of like, we're a little stuck here. We're just going to have to go with what we got. Yeah. Because there really isn't, and that included at that time Jakari Brown, but, we were kind of like, is there not really anyone better in the portal than we have right now? FSU didn't have that luxury. They had to get someone. They took DJU, who's, already failed in this conference once. And this is the player he is. He's not terrible, but if you need him to go out there and make plays to win the game, he's not that quarterback. And then, compound that their defense got run on, which I think, they were overrated coming in. And they were hyping up their D line, saying it might be the best in the ACC on that first year. I was like, gotta go south of Florida State to get the best defensive line in the ACC.
I can't believe they mentioned that. That was crazy.
Well, it's part of that. This is pretty common, right? In broadcast, they start hyping up the team that's on the field. But yeah, look, Darrell Jackson was here, and he's a good like, we didn't want him to leave. He's a good defensive tackle, but compared to what they lost, he's not that level. And so, there was going to be a step down a little bit, and they just a little bit less dominant on defense, worse quarterback play. And you end up again. Georgia Tech's a good team. Let's not,
right.
They didn't lose.
Running back Jamal Haynes is a pretty good running
back.
Yeah,
they didn't lose to like the bottom of the barrel here. They lost to a team that's a bowl team. But yeah, there are concerns for FSU there for sure. But the thing, they don't have the quarterback to really threaten teams. And as said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the chat, but. Georgia Tech was more physical, and then once they realized that DJU just was not going to be able to make throws, they really, after that first drive, really keyed in on the run game, and everything in the chat's correct. They were.
Yeah, I heard. By the way, Rock and Rant. I hear FSU just sued the state of Georgia. Again, for Georgia kicking their ass.
You have to get the Secretary of State out there to Ireland to sue them too. Like, you have to negotiate an international treaty after that loss.
Oh man, that was great. I love it. I love it.
And CCH, shout out to him, of course, friend of the program.
I wouldn't say they don't have any business being ranked. I just don't think they have any business being ranked in the top 10. Blue, I kind of want to get your take on this FSU Georgia Tech game because we saw a lot of – I mean, look, we saw on the other side of the ball, we saw some exciting stuff for Georgia Tech. Jamal Haynes looks like a really good running back again. Haynes King looks solid. I don't know about their passing game much, right? Their passing game, they got that one kid. Forgot his last name now. He's got a long last name. I can't remember his last name now. Singleton. You got that kid Singleton who's pretty good. But their defense is really what's carrying them, right? That's a solid-ass defense for Georgia Tech. Forget about even Romello Height. I think their linebacker core is really strong. But it's a well-coached team. Coach Brent Key is a good coach. First of all, do you think FSU deserve to be number 10 to start off? And second of all, how do you feel about both programs going forward now for the rest of the season? What did you kind of see in this game?
Well, first of all, Florida State lost a lot. A quarterback who was kind of a real good quarterback, lost 2 defensive linemen in the first couple of rounds, lost 2 offensive linemen, lost a linebacker, lost 2 safeties. So you lose all that, and then one generational wide receiver in Keon, who will be the NFL Rookie of the Year for the Bills. That's my prediction. That kid's just a freak of nature. And then you lost a 6'7" other wide receiver. Yeah. So that's a whole lot. And then you got a new quarterback who I don't think he really fits the system they want to run. I mean, he's other than buying the team beats last week, he didn't really do a whole lot of things. I mean, he's they're I kind of have a beef with Brett Key. Last I remember, Brett Key was getting coffee for O'Leary at UCF. So it's tough for me to kind of see that he's a head coach, but he's surrounded himself with guys. I know all their coordinators and a lot of the coaches that recruit. As Vish said, Georgia Tech's a good team. Are they great? No, but they're good. I mean, and I think, they got some athletes, got a good running game. They caught a couple of breaks, but you have to, in a game like that. And I mean, it's really tough to answer a question whether FSU should be ranked or not. If I always think that you give the team that, they were undefeated last year. So you got to give them some courtesy. I don't know if it's top 10 courtesy, but you still do. Now, back in the day, Oklahoma could have been 9-7 and they would have still been ranked. And sometimes you get those type of teams that they're afraid to kick out of the top 20. But as far as being ranked, let them play themselves out of it. That's the whole thing. I mean, and I think, you got a reputation from last year, and I know it's not the same team, but, moving forward, you could see the improvement that Norvell's gotten done every year. So, I think it's warranted that they were ranked. But there's going to be they've got a couple of tougher games than they played on Saturday coming up. So, but we'll see. I mean, I don't want to throw any, we live in a glass house right now, 7-7 glass house. So let's see what happens. I'm just not, until you prove, and I think the Miami fan base is of the same, except for Vish, but I mean, that thinks you got to wait and see, I mean, Miami's got all this talent. Yes. And they look great in the spring. Yes. But they've never played together against other competition. So, you know what, I'm waiting for Saturday. I think it's going to be a really good game. The atmosphere is going to be stupid. And it just, we'll see. I mean, Cam Ward has done great, but has he done it against, a team like Florida in a place like that? That's just, I think the dictation this week is Miami cannot turn the ball over. You cannot give them an opportunity to go up 7 or 14-0 in their place. You just can't. And because then the pressure becomes all on you. So it's imperative that they get off to a good start and that they control the ball. I think that, having Martinez and having a line that you count your confidence in, if they run the ball, it's going to be a long, long day for Florida.
Yeah, I think you bring up some great points about that. As far as home field advantage or where you play and the circumstances, and mean, a lot of those things play into it. I know, I love the people, and I thought about this for a little bit. I said, what side of the fence am I on when it comes to this, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, you can't talk trash right now. You can't talk trash about FSU because you never know. It's going to come back because those kind of things come back, karma, and it comes back to bite you in the ass on Saturday now. And I'm thinking to myself, anything that I say right now, first of all, nobody's going to give a crap about what I say. Second of all, it's not going to affect the way that the Canes play on the field on Saturday because Jazz is talking crap about FSU getting their ass handed to by Georgia Tech, right? But then there's the other side that are like, hey, you never know. This all could get around to the Canes players, and then all of them are going to feel like, oh, wow, like a chip on their shoulder and cocky, and look at what FSU did, and thinking about FSU and go into this game and get their asses handed to them by Florida. Listen, the time for me being a baseball player and superstitious, those days are over, man. I'm not superstitious about that stuff anymore. I like talking a little bit of trash because I don't think it's going to affect anything that the Hurricanes or the Gators do on the field on Saturday. However, what will affect it is exactly what Blue said.
Yeah.
The field, the swamp, the conditions, getting out ahead early, right, and being aggressive and controlling the football and establishing whether it's the run or the pass. I don't care what it is. But at the end of the day, if you start establishing some dominance at one position or the other, one side of the field or the other, I think that obviously bodes well for you. You got to do that. You got to start off strong. The days of us starting off, well, those are long gone, obviously.
Yeah.
You can't be lazy. You can't be flat. You can't start off like that against, even if it's a mediocre SEC team. You're in one of the toughest places in the country to play. So I think what happened to FSU was they had a bit of a letdown, but at the same time, I don't think they're as good as their record, or not their record, their ranking is, or what some people are saying. And it's not a knock. I'm not saying they're terrible. I don't think they're a terrible football team. I just don't think they're a number 10 team in the program right now. Like you said, Blue, they lost a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Best players in the country. Right?
And people don't realize that, Jazz. They just think, because they went to the portal again. They had some pretty special players in there.
Says Alabama or Clemson or Oklahoma or wherever it is that you got these transfer portal guys, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be great here, right? That doesn't mean that. Look at Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown went 2 for 11, and he was a 5-star prospect out of LSU 2 years ago, a local kid. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter what the name is. You got to get the right guys that fit the right scheme, the right system, and you got to have them play. And the same thing can happen to any other team. You might get a stud that was from Alabama or from Oklahoma or Ohio State. He comes to the other team and he lays an egg. All signs point to that not happening with what we've seen, right? But you got to see it on the field. You got to see them execute. You got to see them play well. I have a lot of confidence in what they're going to do this weekend. I think that Miami's going to be able to come out and do some really nice things in the field and win this game. I don't want to say handedly, but I think that they're going to show out, and I think that it's going to put them on a stage where everybody's going to be a little scared of this football team. That's what I think.
We'll get the predictions at the end of the show, so don't catch up your hand. But we do need so I'd love to get DJ's take on the FSU game, and then we'll get Blue's prediction out because he's got to go in 10 minutes. So we'll get DJ's take on the FSU game, then let Blue do his negativity here.
Well, I think, I honestly couldn't believe what I was watching just because, I had seen Georgia Tech put up these types of performances before in past years against other teams, but even still, it was a little bit surreal to see, and I understand why they were ranked because of the precedent, like Blue talked about earlier, that, they were a very talented football team last year, yet they lost a lot. At the same time, Jazz, the same people who are saying don't talk trash because karma is going to get you or whatever are the exact same people who do it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But no, it's just crazy. It seems like the week 0 games always bring out, some of the weirdest things in college football. I cover the Big Ten a little bit too, and I can remember the Nebraska onside kick against Northwestern over in Ireland. So that week 0 game is never short on drama, but I think Florida State will be fine. they do have a lot of holes, but I could see them kind of find their groove mid-season. And I think, honestly, our game against them should be a really good one, because by then both teams will have a chance to really kind of settle in, know what they have. By that point in the season, injuries may be a factor, but I still think it's going to be a good game.
You think DJ makes it to October 26th? Or we play them? He's still their starting quarterback by then?
No. I'm going to say no, but I still think it's going to be a good game.
A lot of people are saying it. They don't think he makes it to October.
I was never a fan of his at Clemson, so I'm a little biased,
I
but
mean,
I'm going to say no.
They don't have anyone else to put in there, otherwise they would have.
Or they all suck, so they got to pick the lesser of two evils there.
Some guys survive on just name alone, and he's one of them.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, let's talk about what really matters around here, Larry Bluestein, is the Miami Hurricanes going up to Gainesville to face the Florida Gators this weekend. Hostile territory. Miami's ranked 19th in the country. Gators are unranked. Tough game to play. First game of the season. Although the good news is, this is what the good news is. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to go. Full force, full strength. Both teams. I get it. Well, actually, not both teams, because I think Montreal Johnson is hurt for the.
No, he's playing. He's playing.
Oh, he's playing. He's playing. All right.
We just did an Florida preview on the show tonight, and they said he's ready to go.
Right. And I don't know. So your take, first of all, are there any injuries that we need to keep an eye out on? Mark Fletcher is a full go, which is exciting to hear on the Canes side. So is Arroyo. Arroyo's a full go.
Mesidor.
Yep. So Miami's in full strength. Are the Gators are full strength as well, as far as you know, Blue?
Yeah.
Okay, so both teams are at full strength, ready to go, right? There's no injuries here. This is just going to be a battle of you're going to go out there, whoever's more talented is going to win. I mean, well, that's typically how it works. It doesn't always happen that way. However, I think Miami is right now, I think, as Vish always says this, and I love that Vish says this because that makes total sense. At some point, we got to stop being skeptical. We got to stop saying, I don't know, we're nervous. Can Miami do this? Are they going to choke again? The hell with all of that. At some point, we got to say, this is the team. Miami's all in. They've got all the pieces. They've got one of the best running backs in the country. They've got some of the top wide receivers with Restrepo and Sam Brown and Horton and Jacoby George. They got one of the best tight ends if he's healthy. He's healthy. Elijah Arroyo's there. Running backs. Not only do they have Damian Martinez, but they got Mark Fletcher. They've got A.J. Allen, but they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and Cam Ward, who transferred over here. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't know. Can he do it here in the ACC?" The hell with all that. He can do it in the ACC. He can do it anywhere. We got one of the best defenses in the country right now. The defensive front four. That front four is better. First of all, better than FSU. Probably the best in the ACC, up there with Clemson. Okay, you got some of the best linebackers in Kiko Manoa, Wesley Bassett. You got a lot of talent, right? If there was a third linebacker starting, it'd probably be Jalen Alderman. So you've got a lot of talent on that team right now. You've got a lot of expectations riding on this game. Does Miami go into the swamp, Blue, and show what they're made of and put Miami back on the map and say, "Here, we're here. We're going to make a playoff run. We're going to kick your ass, Florida. Let's go."
Yeah. I think the difference in this game is the quarterback. Mertz has had a very underrated year. 27 touchdowns, only 4 picks. He's shown leadership. He's back, and I think he is the difference in the game. I think his leadership will keep Florida around no matter how stout Miami's defense is. He'll make the right reads. He's got a couple of really good receivers. They run the ball well. They're bigger up front. I think it comes down to him making a play, one more play. And I said that last week, and not to get anybody angry, but the whole thing is I just think that Florida wins the game 28-24. I think it's 24-21 in the fourth quarter, and he hits Miami gets a defensive secondary penalty and moves the ball down, and they win the ball game. And but it's not – I understand what you were just saying about, well, there's got to be a time that – yeah, but what are you going off of? to be. I mean, after the first game, if they beat Florida, then that's the time to say, okay, forget about all that crap. Now Miami should win every game. That's just my opinion. I'm going off of how the last season ended. I'm going how, sure, they made all these moves and it's great, but there's a thing called chemistry, and you should know that, Jazz, more than anything in baseball. You could have all the great hitters you want, but there's a lot of guys that are selfish. And what you do is oftentimes when you get a lot of new players in the mix, like a Martinez or like a Brown or like a Cam Ward or any of these other guys, hey, and then the guys left over from Miami too that feel the right, hey, why are they coming in and taking my spot? Not so much a quarterback, but I'm talking about, so there's a chemistry and we'll see, it's just an opinion. It's not a fact. It's not, just because they said it's not going to happen. I could be totally 100% wrong, but I side on this. I'm on the skepticism side because I've seen it, Jazz, over and over and over again, where every year's, oh, we got this kid, oh, we got that guy. And I know we got more talent this year than ever before. But
all right, so let me ask you this question because I know you got to go. All right, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate, but I'm going to play the right. I'm going to play the right devil here. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. Let's put it this way. What was Florida's record last year?
6-6, I think, or 5-6-7, whatever they were.
5-7.
5-7. 5-7.
So this is where I reach out. I fight back on this, right? Because Florida was 5-7. Florida had a crappy ass season, also, right? Did Miami do better in the transfer portal and recruiting than Florida did?
I think that Florida has more returning players that were there last year. It's
on a 5-7 program.
I hear, but the whole thing is everybody has to. I mean, it's not to say that everybody. They brought in some kids, from the portal, especially up front on the offensive line, that will say, "Hey, listen, you know what? That's where we were deficient last year." And I mean, to me, they have playmakers, and I just like when a quarterback comes back. I really do, because that means, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and defensively, they come back with a lot of kids. Now, I understand what you said, but those guys are all a year older. Their linebacking core was completely revamped with two kids coming in, and their secondary added a safety and a corner. So I'm just saying that there's no guarantee, but that's why if I could pick a tie, I'll pick a tie, but I'm not going to do that. It wasn't like I said, well, Florida's going to win 35-14.
You'll get Vish even more pissed off if you say that.
No, but
he already got him upset. Look at his face. You see when he's smiling? That means he's upset. All right, I'm just telling you, Blue.
But you know what?
Smiling, I'm upset.
I tell my guys, and hey, Jazz, when I always tell the coaches and stuff, when they'll come up to me, like on Saturdays, St. Thomas coaches were coming up. They goes, yeah, we'll show you. And I said, listen, if it takes me to get you motivated, you're in trouble. I mean, it really does. It's just an opinion. Just,
we got to bust your chops about it, though, Blue. We're going to bust your chops about it anyways,
Oh, I got a lot of. Hey, let me tell you something. Hey, over the weekend, now I know how many people watch this show, because over the weekend I was getting bombarded. They go, we'll show you, man. You picked against us. Yeah. Well, I said, listen, I did pick you guys to beat Florida State. I said it was just LSU, Louisville, Syracuse, and Florida, and they're all three road teams.
I'm just happy we have fans.
Well, I'm sure they're loving me right now. Then
right, yeah, that's part about it right now.
I got no positive feedback. This is crazy.
Yeah, well, they should, man. You're the guy, and I could just from the note that you sent, you go, hurry up and get your negative prediction out of the way.
Okay, that was not a
so I get it.
But I know you have to run, Blue. So
yeah,
it is.
So we got.
All right, guys. Well, we'll talk. I'll definitely next. Are you what? I'll talk to you about Saturday. Yeah, so I'm going to Venice Friday night, but I'll come back. So I'm going to see Northwestern. Northwestern looked good. Teddy Bridgewater's done a really good job.
Nice.
Very disciplined team. You don't. I mean, it's not like he just came off the Lions and all of a sudden is being the coach. He's got a lot of people around him, and he's not taking a crap. But that's it, guys. We'll talk. I don't have a show and tell this week because I knew I had to be. So next week I'll come back bigger and better.
Get out of here, negative Nancy. Get out of here. Oh man,
there's a lot of really good content in the chat. We're gonna roll through in a bit, but Blue was time limited, so I wanted to make sure we maximize that. I will just say to his point on the quarterbacks, Mertz. We talked about DJU to start the show off. That is how he was completing passes last year. His quarterback rating over 10 yards was one of the worst in the country.
I'm glad you have the numbers.
Dump.
I figured.
And his attempts were also low. He only had 11% of his attempts over 20 yards, and his quarterback rating on that was on anything over 10 yards was well below. In fact, he didn't have a quarterback rating above 200 on any of his distances, but it led even further when it was beyond 10 yards, and the frequency dropped heavily. Not to compare him to that, but Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels last year, his quarterback rating over 20 yards was 422. Now, not realistic to live to that, but when you're talking about being 300 points below that, that's not. I mean, it is what it is. He kept it conservative, played underneath, played in a box, and there are limitations to that. Again, there's a lot of good content in the chat.
He did the same thing at Wisconsin too, but even still, he wasn't necessarily a player that would turn the ball over a ton. He did have I think 10 interceptions one year, or actually maybe 2 years in a row, but he's always kind of been that way.
Yeah, he's kind of that guy that like Vish said, dink and dunk. He's not going to push the ball down the field.
Well, maybe he'll try to, but I don't know that those accuracy numbers hold up. Or if they decide that they're going to be more aggressive offensively,
right?
With that, that's where the turnovers come. I mean, TVD wouldn't have thrown interceptions if he dumped it off to the running back every time, and that's not a good idea either. Speaking of which, I mean, I know too bad Blue had to leave, so he's not here to kind of comment some of this, but
right,
DJ brought up Wisconsin. And one of Blue's arguments is the continuity at that position. I don't think anyone would say right now you would want to take Wisconsin's quarterback back instead of the guy we have here. So, and by the way, was a better quarterback than Mertz last year. So, I think you need to. He threw more interceptions, but overall, in terms of production, you got to remember we lost some shootouts too and won some on his arm. And so, it was that consistency that lacked. But again, just for continuity, that's not. If it's as Jazz, we were kind of saying, continuity to 5 and 7 is that what you're looking for? I don't think so. Look at this. This is a great stat. Let's put this up here from 904 Hurricane.
That's my point, right? How does that equate to them winning on a last-minute touchdown because they're that much more disciplined or that much? It just doesn't add up to me. He makes a good point about Miami also, right? We're coming off of a 7-5 record and all that crap as well. But on paper, it's undoubtedly.
Well, it's a 7-5 record that we're coming off of where again, so you will about the quarterback position, but was injured, lost him for a chunk of the year, and then he came back not well. Look, it's a loss, but I feel like if we get into that Georgia Tech situation this time, we'll kneel the ball. It counts as a loss, but whatever that was. If you're projecting forward in terms of how the team played, it was to 8 wins, not 7. Right? So again, if we're using this as a base of projection, that's a significantly better than them going 5 and 7. So now, it is a road game. It's the first game, and weird stuff happens in the first game. So people are not. I think this is what Blue was keying off of. People aren't in sync. It's much harder to be in sync on the road, and maybe we don't play up to our potential. But I think we know my feelings on that.
Let me tell you, some of the comments are funny on here.
Yeah, no, we got creative listeners.
Yeah.
And we got this is definitely true as well. I mean, let's be real. They were 5-2 last year and lost their last 5 games.
Right.
Like if they had the political will and the money, I guess if you're following the news, if Ben Suss didn't take all the money and give it to people. Gotta take digs at the academic side too. We're full service haters. Then they probably. I mean, most coaches don't survive a collapse like that. They were 5-2, and everyone's like, maybe they're pretty 5 losses in a row to go to 5-7. That is problematic. So I think that's he's there. He's basically a dead man walking because even if they're improved, it's going to be hard for them to make a bowl game on that schedule. And so, it is kind of to Studio One Live's point there. They are kind of, I mean, they're a little bit circling the drain there.
I'm rolling up. I'm going up a little bit to.
Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah. They're concerned about the O-line, specifically the right side. Silos79 says here. All the message works from the Florida side said they are concerned about their O-line.
Right. I would be too. They're going to get start D-line.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, this D-line is one of the top in the country, right? You've got Bain, you've got Tyler Barron, you've got Elijah Alston, you've got Mesidor coming back, and then the inside with Barrow and C.J. Clark and Marley Cook and Moten and some of those big names there, Josh Horton and Justin Scott. I mean, you can name them all. Campbell too. Like those are some really nice names there.
And again, we're saying concern. Maybe their O-line holds up better than we think, but
maybe.
But this, like, if you can pressure without having to blitz and overwhelm that off, then it's like that's a game changer because then your linebackers are free.
All bets are off there.
To roam. You're not having to bring safeties up into the box. If you can win up front that handily, then that again, it's not as maybe as sexy as blitzing all the time but it's much more effective because you're not exposing anything. Sure. Yes, I said sexy and exposing in the same sense. Like still the same show that we have in the offseason.
After 9 p.m., so I mean, I think it can fly.
We're the late show now. I forgot about this. They're being sued for lying on their NIL.
Crap in the you can see the reason they get fired. Blah. Look, What's the other one? What do you expect? Kane's Heat says, what do you expect from our? I don't want to be the grammar police, but our court.
A lot of people are on their phone, and some of them are voice dictating too.
We get it. We understand.
Yeah, Jazz. Have some sympathy.
Yeah,
I know. We get it.
We are men of the people.
That's correct. What do you think from our? What do you expect from our court? Cam Ward. I mean, if you don't know, which I get it, man. I mean, the kid's a hell of a quarterback, right? He's got all the intangibles, everything that you need to be, a great quarterback in college football. He is ranked one of the top quarterbacks in the game right now, and so you expect him to come in and to lead this football program. Look, all signs point to him being a great leader off the field, on the field, during practice. He is that type of guy that's been able to connect with his players on a deep level. He's got the respect. He's got the full backing of this offense, and also the defense. I think that it's a cliche to say, but it's the truth, right? Like when your defense is confident in your offense, your defense can pin their ears back and play at a different level than they would if they thought, shit, here we go, we're going to be pinned back again, because our offense is not going to be able to move the ball. I think that's going to transition to this defense playing even better, more aggressive, a little looser, because Cam Moore is going to come in and be able to command that offense and put some points on the board, move the football. I think that be that field general. Again, another cliche, right? Be that field general, but it's the truth, right? If he can do all those things, put points on the board, that defense is going to be even better. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Rich.
No, I think go ahead, DJ.
I was going to say, when you look at how this offense can play out and be utilized. You can run with Cam Ward. You can run with the running backs. You have the strong arm of Cam Ward. So there's different dimensions to this offense. And on that same token, it makes the defense's life a little bit easier too, because you have the extended drives. You have the confidence that the offense can score points, and you also can get kind of a good look and see, how your team runs, how it works, and how the unit itself, meaning the offense, can function. And I think when you have, an offense that understands the defense and their strengths and vice versa, that helps as well. And, I think having that consistent quarterback play from Ward will also be able to, help the defense in that way.
I just want you to know that Danny said how your unit works. You said sexy and exposed. What's going on in this show today?
It's Florida week, man.
It is. It's. I get it.
So I'll just be kind of brief on this for once. I'll just lean back on not my opinion, but Cam Ward was voted ACC preseason player of the year.
Yeah.
Those mean nothing. I mean,
you're asking about what do we expect?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's what I expect.
Player of the year.
That's what I expect.
All right.
If neutral media vote our player as the best player in the conference, I expect him to be very good.
I just remember watching the Apple Cup last year and seeing him, kind of make throws on the run, make throws out of the pocket, run to extend drives, kind of control the tempo of the game itself. And, having that in a quarterback versus a pocket passer who can't run, who doesn't really have good tempo. Because that was one of the things I noticed with Van Dyke, is that he had trouble controlling the tempo of the game sometimes. And I don't think we'll have a problem with that with Cam Ward under center because of his multifaceted ability to kind of move the ball.
Yeah, no, Van Dyke stunk at managing the game. Like, he could make all the throws, but he didn't know when to attempt which one. And that's where you had those mind-numbing interceptions and those mistakes. And that's why also there were other times where it was like, man, look at that throw. And it was, that was the duality of man. But he didn't know how to manage the game well. And to DJ's point, just because the guy's open doesn't mean you take that throw at that time.
Yeah. Tempo was completely lost on him.
Yeah. And so that is, I do want to unpack this,
Vish, going back to what you said. Well, yeah. Okay, we'll go.
Well, we can talk about that in a second, but go if you had something else first.
Well, it's just going back to what you said, what Studio One Live said here. You heard Guidry say that you don't have to run all that stuff no more. He can just send 4. Yeah, if he can just send 4, if he's that confident that he feels he's going to get to the ball or the quarterback with just sending 4, I mean, again, all bets are off, man, because now you can do whatever the hell you want on the backside. And it's going to be fun because those guys are going to be able to roam around, go after the ball, play more loose, free. And that's going to spell all kinds of trouble for Florida's offense. Let's hope they can do that. Let's hope that they can do that. That'll be fun.
And that is what every defensive coordinator has to scheme up, ways to get pressure, but their ultimate dream is to just be able to send 4 and not have to do that to get pressure. So yeah, if you can do that, then as you said, and it'll and people are concerned about the secondary and all that. It'll help avoid that. I will just say, one of the other things, and I do want to 904 put a good kind of list of items that could go wrong, some which I agree with, some which I don't. But to DJ's point in the Apple Cup, it was a tight game. They lost at the end. He threw for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. There are other really tough road games because everyone's talking about, is he going to be able to play in the swamp at Oregon? He threw for 438 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
They lost those games. They're playing.
It wasn't because of Cam Ward.
Yeah, no. Oregon barely missed the playoffs, and Washington was in the championship game.
The Apple Cup, for those who don't know, is very tough to play in terms of an environment. And I know the name makes it sound kind of. I think we do have East Coast bias here. Those are 2 really tough places to play that'll rival any other. Yeah, they are.
Any other stadium you have to go play in with a road game on.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I don't think he's gonna have issues on Saturday in terms of that. There could be other issues, but not in terms of like overwhelmed by the atmosphere. If you can go into Oregon and throw for 400 plus, You'll be okay. You'll be okay in Gainesville.
And that Apple Cup game was absolutely electric too. I remember that. That was a great game.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue at all.
No.
So 904 is talking about things that could go wrong. Maybe we should take these item by item. Communication, coaching, penalties, turnovers, ref bias, tackling in the open field, communication again. Be prepared to defend the no huddle. I'm at least concerned about the last one. I don't see Florida trying to pick up tempo here, and speed things up. That's not they're not. Yeah, and that's not the. I mean, maybe it's a curveball. They will though, but that's kind of out of their element. That's not how Napier generally. His teams have played. Coming from Louisiana and all that, like they were not that kind of team,
right?
And I don't really think they have the quarterback to do that either. Yes, dude, I talked about this last week when Blue said that Gainesville, and then I said, well, Cameron's played at Washington. He kind of scoffed that. I was like, yeah, we handled UF in Gainesville. It's much easier than that.
Times are different, though, man. Times are different.
Yeah. No, but I mean, Washington is always a tough place to play too, so he's dealt with that atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think in terms of this, I mean, I will say the ones that probably the last three items, I'm not concerned with our coaching. I know I'm kind of alone on that. I think our coaching is really strong.
Well, if you heard what Coach Cristobal said, apparently I think it was today, maybe.
Yeah.
He said that they may have hired someone to.
Well, he did. He didn't say may. He said they hired a clock management coach after the Georgia Tech.
Well, what's there to worry about?
Well, I mean, look,
baby.
I mean, that was that. I mean, hopefully we're not in a situation where we're having to manage the clock, honestly, in this game. With that said, actually, I'm a fan of our coaching. So I think I'm a little bit, I know people are, that kind of, if you want to put a negative slant on our program, because Jazz, you outlined how much talent has been infused.
Right.
It is, well, the talent's there, but can they coach it? And yes, is my answer to that. I'd say they're on an island saying I don't think there's going to be a problem with our coaches. I think we have really good coordinators. I think we have a good head coach as a CEO type that sets the right tone and attitude for the program to be a dominant program, and we finally have the talent to line up on that. Oh no, I know what you're saying. You're talking about coaching generally. That's why I like our coordinators. I think they're really good. And yeah. I think we had issues if you want to talk offensively, I think we had issues with the quarterback position being consistent last year, which really hurts an offensive coordinator because you don't know what to call because you don't know what the quarterback's going to do with the play call. We ran through like a lot of running backs, so that was an issue as well. And then, defensively we're also inconsistent, but I do think we take a step forward now because of the defensive line play, which is night and day improved over last year, which again makes his job easier.
I got a question for you because I think this is something I've been thinking about a lot. I got a question. This will be for both of you. There's been a lot of talk, and I'm kind of, I don't want to say digressing or shifting so much because I think this plays into the game, right? We're talking about starting, who's going to start at what position. And I know most of the positions we kind of have an idea, right? It's going to be Cam Ward, and then Damian Martinez, Elijah Arroyo is probably 99% sure he's your starting tight end. Your offensive line, the only question mark is left guard. Who's going to be at left guard, right? I think that's been the only thing. Is it Okunlola? Is it Matthew McCoy? Is it someone else? Who's going to be there? We'll see. So that's kind of the only question mark there. However, the question for me is the interesting one is, and again, it doesn't really matter about starting. It's about snaps at the end of the day and who gets hot and who plays more. But, a lot of talk about Sam Brown obviously being one of the guys and Xavier Restrepo. Now you're left with the other side of the ball. Is it Jacoby George or is that Isaiah Horton? Because a lot of talk has been lately that Isaiah Horton is going to be that guy that's going to be starting, not Jacoby George. However, you saw the production with Jacoby George last year. You haven't seen it yet with Zay, but a lot of people, again, are talking about Zay Horton potentially having the best numbers as well. And he's grown. He's developed a lot. He's gotten a lot better. And he looks – he's all of 6'4", 220 pounds as a freaking wide receiver. It's impressive. But you've seen flashes of him being really, really good. That Texas A&M game and a couple other games showed that he can play. But you've seen the same thing from Jacoby George. The only thing with him is his regression was in his attitude, right? And the way that he played, and how he was letting it affect his playing was his mind, his mindset, right? He was a little bit of a head case. Who starts on that side? Do you guys think it's Zay, or do you guys think it's Jacoby George? Go ahead, Vish. What do you think?
Jacoby George.
Yeah. Why do you think it is Jacoby George? Just
I think you kind of broke it down a little bit there. He's produced. He's produced on the road in rivalry games. He was the best player in the field against Florida State last year, including Florida State's players. Just didn't have anything else with him, basically, on the offensive side of the ball in that game. And when he has had his head on right, he's been uncoverable. And so I don't think you go into this first game of the season in a rivalry game where he'll likely be more focused and assume he's not going to have his head on right. And I mean, Horton, like he says, flashed a few times, but he doesn't have the snaps or the playing time to have proven out what Jacoby has. I don't see how you leave him on the bench.
Right. By the way, before we get to DJ's pick on who's going to start there, On3 just updated their college football playoff bracket. Listen to how stupid it is. All of a sudden now they have Georgia Tech as the number 4 team in the country in the bracket, in the playoff bracket.
That's the number 4 team. It's probably a live.
Yeah,
They
got with that though. Like
no, but I think if you probably read the criteria, it's probably there's an automatic.
Oh, like based off of their records, like
yeah. No, I think they probably have a thing.
And beating a top 10 team.
Well, no, they're the ACC first place team by themselves right now, so they have to. Worst they can do is fourth.
Stupid, then.
The worst they can do is fourth because
they have Miami as one of the first 4 out, though. That's the thing. It's
because the top 4 teams are the top 4 highest rated conference finishers, which was a thing where you had to compete for it until the Pac-12 no longer existed. Now it's just like the 5th place team in the American Conference is not going to be ranked higher than the 4th place team in the ACC or first place team in the ACC or whatever it is. So you're gonna end up with the top 4 teams are going to be the SEC winner, the Big 10 winner, the Big 12 winner, and the ACC winner in some order. So since they're in first place in the conference, they want to know. And I think I'm assuming what they did is after those top 4, assuming teams haven't played a conference game yet, which I don't think anyone else has. Other than that, too. So they're probably just predicting who won the conference and then 5 down slotting in behind them. So that's all that was.
Gotcha. DJ, you think it's George or it's Horton as a starter?
George, but I'm very intrigued by Horton.
Yeah, I think he's got the goods, man. He's good.
I have to say, I am very intrigued by Horton, and I understand season opener against Florida in a tough environment. You play the guys who can produce, like you mentioned, but I am very intrigued by Horton and what he can bring to the table.
Yeah, I think Jacoby George starts also because of what you guys mentioned, the experience of being out there in big games. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to play the most, right? But I just think to start off the game, you need to have your guys that are ready for that atmosphere right off the bat. I mean, I know you know. I mean, look, Zay Horton was there at FSU. He was there against Texas A&M. So he's got that experience as well. But I think that it doesn't necessarily mean that he is the odd man out because I think you're going to see 4 or 5 or 6 receivers play. But and he may be the guy that's going to be the go-to guy at the end when it's all said and done. I don't think it's a knock on him. I think that having that situation where you can start any of them is good. But I think Jacoby, because of his big playmaking ability that we know he has, I think he starts right off the bat. So it'll be interesting to see. There's a couple other things here. I'm loving the news about Fletcher being ready. Better chance. There's one right before that though. Vish, Cam Ward made an interesting comment saying that what he needs Horton to do is be on the same page with him when the play breaks down. Okay, so maybe that's a part of development on his half that he needs to be aware. I think that's awareness, right? That's awareness. You got to be aware of what's going on. So I get that. I totally get that. Yeah.
It also feeds into what Blue was talking about in terms of there's a short runway here for these players to get in sync. So that can also dictate a lot of playing time. Who's just gotten aligned to Cam Ward more quickly.
Right.
was likely as for the first game. That doesn't mean, to Jazz's point, by the end of the game or by a few games from now, maybe that changes over. But right now, you got to go with whoever you're comfortable is going to execute out there.
Absolutely. Better chance of rushing for almost 200 or passing for over 300 yards. I mean, that's
rushing.
Yes.
Yes.
Both.
That's a good answer because
we're gonna kick their ass as well.
I don't know. 200 yards. I can see Cam Ward throwing for 300 yards or more.
I think we'll be leaning on the running game in the second half with a healthy lead there. Get a lot of carries.
But if it's a shootout type of game, yeah, which I can see them leaning on Cam Ward to make some plays. So it can go either way, right? It's tough to say. I'll just say 300 yards. Vish will say 200 yards rushing.
I'm doing both. We're going for 600 total, over 200 on the ground, over 300 in the air.
Hey, screw it, right? What the hell? DJ, you think it's more than likely rushing or
rushing? Yeah, rushing.
Okay, cool. Point to no place here. Maybe you could tell he's supposed to come back. Okay, cool. I think Jacoby gets a nod. See, we got some others that are talking about Jacoby. First play, I would put Horton at the slot and send him deep up the seam. Hey, listen, you never know, right? You never know. That might work out. You imagine that guy at 6'4" in the slot. Like, who's going to cover him? That's a 5'7" wide receiver, a 5'7" corner.
Slot corner.
Mario Krista goes in the studio. Just stop. Hey man, I like your thinking, studio. I like your thought process. All right.
I mean, if Horton is the best wide receiver on the team, no one's going to be able to cover us. So
yeah, he might be talent-wise. He might be because of his size, his strength, his speed. But that's not the only thing you need to play. So we'll see what happens there. Word of the day: Elijah Arroyo or Elijah Lofton?
He said both, man. You got to read to the end.
Look, I saw a formation. A lot of people saw it too. I don't know if you guys saw it on social media. There was a formation in the backfield, and it was Cam Ward in like the pistol. You saw it, DJ, because you nodded your head. It was Cam Ward like in the pistol, and you had Chris Johnson to his left, and you had Elijah Lofton behind him, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, look at that formation!" Oh, so that would be a pretty crazy formation.
It would. Yeah.
I gotta say, if that ends up on the internet, look, we can talk about Mario all we want, but he is very much about the subterfuge. If that ended up on the internet, and we can clip this and make fun of me next week. There's a 0% chance that we break that formation. Elijah Lofton will get on the field.
I think he's going to have an impact in this game. I think
he very well might. He's going to get on the field. Chris Johnson's also going to get on the field.
Oh yeah.
These are players that are impact players. I would be shocked if we line up in that formation, just not because it's like crazy or stupid or anything, just because there's no way Mario looks it up. Mario's firing half the athletic department if that was actually a plan to line up like that.
Well, wait a second. What if it happens, right? That you send, and then Chris Johnson just goes on a wheel route and takes off, and then Elijah Lofton takes off on the other end, and it's just like one of these. It's like the first play, boom, and you score 6 on it.
Okay, we're definitely not lining up first play with Chris Johnson, Elijah Lofton.
You stop it, Vish. Let me drink.
Without Damian Martinez, go stand on the sideline. We got Fletcher. You too.
I love it how you don't sleep on Shamar Kirk. Yeah, man. Look, this is fun.
Only one ball, man.
You can name some guys, and you're like, I mean, he was the spring ball MVP.
Yeah, we have depth. We have depth.
Yes, it is.
Playing against Capu. We're in Miami, man.
Of course it is, man. What's the matter with you, Pin? What do you think? What other green cup would you see anybody drinking in Miami? Come on, man. I got like 4 of these, right? I got to hide them from everybody. You know, people steal them here in my house. Yeah, we spoke about that earlier, 904, about Brashard starting at running back over Rooster, it looks like. Good for him.
Yeah. By the way, that game was won by a legacy king, RJ Maryland.
Crazy, right?
Tight end.
Good wide receiver. Very good wide receiver.
It's tight end, right, TJ?
Tight end.
It's kind of a yeah. Immediately has. It's TJ. It's a tight end, right? Like, we got the
tight end guru.
We got the North American expert on tight ends here.
DJ, bro. My bad.
That sounds like something after dark. Tight end guru.
Look,
No thanks.
here's what I'll say about this. Look, Mario has, and everyone knows this is a pet peeve of mine, so we'll cut deep. Obviously he didn't kneel the ball, but that's not his only blunder, right? I mean, if you have not completely wiped the bowl game from remember, I encourage you to watch what we'll call a 2-minute drill.
A lot of coaches do have like time management.
Well, this is what I was getting at. So, we can all talk about some of the pretty overt mistakes he's made, but every coach should have some guy in charge of the clock, or woman, whatever. So someone that's just like, I'm gonna handle this. I'm gonna not just because we look at the egregious stuff like I can't believe we didn't call timeout, or we should have spiked the ball, or should have kneeled it.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to manage the clock throughout the 60 minutes that again most coaches don't do. And so I agree, it's good that he's admitting his flaws, but also this is something every coach should do. There's so much crap you're in charge of, so much stuff you're doing on the sideline during a game. Yeah. The idea that you should also be on the side that trying to do math in your head is crazy.
Everything on the sideline moves 1,000 miles an hour, and it's very easy to lose track of time and not realize, what the clock is. It's easy for us to sit here and look at the TV and say, why aren't you calling a timeout? But coaches have a ton of responsibilities on the sidelines, and I can bet that for like 80% of them, the clock is probably one of the last things on their mind. Everything just moves so quick, and you have to make so many snap decisions that, sometimes the clock is something that they forget about.
And it's also, I mean, we don't, again, those are like kind of the egregious things. That's why I say like every coach should just repeat to themselves, when in doubt, call timeout, because it rhymes and they won't forget it. Because you can always play faster. If you blow your timeout if you blow your timeout, you can always play faster to make up for it. But once the time goes, it is gone. You don't get the seconds back ever. And you'll see that most of the mistakes are made is because can't take those timeouts with you.
Most NFL coaches have one, but most college coaches do not.
But DJ, even beyond those overt kind of errors, like there are opportunities throughout the game, like the stuff you see kind of in basketball where they go for a 2-for-1. That exists in football too.
Yep.
Let me score with enough time to get the ball back at the end of a half. You never see teams really doing things like that. Like we focus on the 2-minute drill and let me make sure we have a chance to score at the end of the half and stuff. But we don't really. Hey, there's 8 minutes left in the second quarter. If we score in 4 minutes versus 3 minutes, it increases our chance of winning by X%. Like that stuff is not happening from a head coach.
Right.
Right. There's just no way they can be on top of that as well as everything else they have to do. So,
and I think to Mario's point in the chat, he says most NFL coaches have one, but most college coaches do not. I think as you see the increase in analysts now that they're allowing, more college coaches are going to have one.
Right, that's true. They now have expanded staff. So one of the more famous negative plays of Nick Saban's career was attempting a 600-yard field goal at the end of the game that his kicker couldn't make, that got run back for a touchdown, which is celebrated by a great play by Auburn. But no one asked why Alabama mismanaged the clock and then had to kick a 70-yard field goal or whatever he was trying to do, and why he tried to kick it. Right, I mean, this is just. Every coach has had clock issues. In fact, up DJ's way, Belichick famously when
Tennessee Titans playoff game.
No, this is a game they won. They won the Super Bowl because the Seahawks threw the ball. So no one remembers that Belichick was sitting on timeouts, letting the Seahawks run the clock out, and they were going to, instead of giving Brady like a minute and a half left to try and go back down and win the game, they let the Seahawks run the clock out, but then they threw an interception, so the Patriots win, and everyone's like, wow. It's like, you mismanaged that too, right? I mean,
the thinking there was that Pete Carroll would eat himself alive and make the wrong decision, and it was a risky call, but he was absolutely correct.
He was not trying to mind mess with it. It's just that, again, if you're a great coach, which Belichick obviously is probably the best coach in NFL history, but, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole of is it Brady or him. It's a stupid conversation. But
I agree.
The thing with the great coaches is they're not in close games. They kick your ass.
In the Super Bowl?
I'm generally speaking. So there's very few chances for them to screw the clock up. Right? And that's where we need to get to. Like if we're sitting here worrying about 4 or 5 times this year how we manage the clock at the end of the game. That's not good. You don't want to be in that many close games. And so, I mean, that's the issue there. We found one.
I know 904 is giving him a hard time.
Oh man, everyone is. Everyone is. He said the same thing. I assure you, Darius, we did not have confidence in Manny Diaz.
No.
that was the team that went on to lose to FIU. So let's
relax. Yeah. All right, so let's do predictions. Let's do it, right? I guess.
Yeah. Times are any. I guess we've kind of beat this. I also want to leave the show. You guys can argue in the chat after the show ends, by the way, so you can keep it going.
Right before we get to that, a couple of big prospects, Miami commits, had some nice games this weekend in high school. Malachi Tony over at American Heritage, and the loss though to Milton, which is quarterbacked by Luke Nickel, who had a fantastic game. He looks all the bit, the stud that he is. So big time games for them. SJ Alafatola Tuli did not play in the Gorman game against St. Thomas Aquinas. Gorman did beat them though, but there's still a lot of Miami prospects in that game as well. Justice Fitzpatrick, just to name a few. Also Miami and American Heritage. Byron Lewis is another guy that Miami's looking at, although I think he might be leaning towards FSU. However, he had a nice game for American Heritage as well. The biggest one, though, I was just looking at it now, and I saw one of the highlights, but Dalen Upshaw, the wide receiver from Alabama, had an amazing first game of his senior season. 4 catches, 156 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And by the way, that was all in the first half. He had a monster game. I'll probably get some more updates later on. But all right, my bad. Let's do predictions. DJ, we're gonna start with you, my friend. We already got Blues prediction. I don't even want to talk about it, but he has the Gators beating the Canes 28-24. What about you, DJ?
I could see it, but I have Miami winning this one. I had it last week, 34-21 Miami.
Nice, 34-21 Miami. Vish, what do you got, man? Talk to me.
I will say, hopefully this goes better than my F1 predictions. But by the way, tune to Hitting the Apex tomorrow. Got a crossroad.
God, that's right.
So I get it's in Gainesville, and I know, apparently people believe in mythologies and unicorns and all this other mystical stuff. Just
Middle Tennessee State style shit here.
Look, man, I am not taking responsibility for that game. And you know what? DJ and I stood in the paint and did that post-game show.
We did.
Where were you? You were at the stadium. Oh, I'm with the press people. We stood in there and took it, man.
I wish I was with you guys.
We took it.
I had COVID, choking my lungs out, covering the Middle Tennessee State loss. What a worst problem.
We sat there afterwards, post-game show. We did it, man. We stood in the paint on that. So don't bring up that whole shit. But anyway, outside of the game being at Gainesville, it's the first game of the season, so weird things can happen. However, I mean, if you look at it, better defensive line, better offensive line, better quarterback, better running back. That team wins the game easily, and that's who the Canes are coming in there with. I'm actually not that far off your score, DJ, because you actually picked up a bigger win than I thought.
I don't think it's going to be an easy 34-21. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be close until...
I mean, you have them winning by 13. I have the Canes winning 31-13, which is 18. It's not that.
I think they're gonna pull away.
I wasn't gonna go for 60 or something. But I think that's how it could play out, DJ. Maybe a little bit closer at the first half, and then again, you have the team with the better quarterback and better line play tends to win these games, and when there's a pretty big gap across those, it tend to win them bigger. We actually didn't even mention that, Florida's best offensive threat, Etienne, transferred to Georgia, which is such a middle finger to them. But so they don't really have the playmaker.
Could you blame them?
Well, I mean, they don't, but that is the guy that, if they have him, he could pop a few. He's a big play running back where you're like, all right, he could get, again, it just takes a play here or there to swing these things.
Right.
And that's a playmaker they don't have. So anyway, 31-13, be a comfortable win.
Nice. All right. Okay.
Alcohol will be flowing.
before we get to mine, JAA says Blue predicted a win for St. Thomas and for Heritage. And he was wrong with both. Well, let's hope that he predicted wrong again. That'll be nice. I haven't been excited about the Kings since Butch Davis turned the team over to Larry Coker. I think a lot of us haven't been excited since then. What else? Oh, if I live close enough to go to UF game, I might spot 3 teeth in the entire crowd.
Mario Christogoat, which great name. I forgot. There's an audio version of this too, by the way. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast for this and all our Canes content. But I got to say the name out so that people not watching the video, listen to the audio, get Mario Christogoat. He chose violence today. He came in. He's ready to fight everyone. It's good. It's fired up. It's Florida week. It should be coming out here. I'm firing out the gate, man.
I don't know. Do you have any music that Kurt Russell says, I'm going, got to rep the U. Let's go, baby.
Yeah,
good luck over there in Gainesville. Yeah. Have fun, Kermit. Be safe out there. Obviously I chose the Canes to win this game too. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game over in the swamp. I differ a little bit from you on that, Bish, right? But I still think that Miami ends up on top. I think it's a little bit closer than that, but I think the score is a little bit closer, but the actual game itself kind of shows that Miami, for the most part, controls this game. I'm going to go 27-21, so it'll be a little bit closer, right? But I think that Miami, does what they need to do to control this game per se, and I think they do win the game. I think at the beginning it stays kind of close, and the ambiance and everything, but I think Miami pulls away a little bit in the second half, and it's 27-21. So that's what I'm going with. Make sure that you follow us for post game, not literally post game, but for Monday. Our post game day.
Yeah, dude, the post game after the watch party is not going to be intelligible.
Might be fun.
Yeah, fun. I mean, that's one word.
I mean, my crap is here. If you.
Yeah, I know.
If we make poor decisions, we can fire it up. We can fire it up. So,
we did some damage. By the way, shout out to Harry,
Jeremy and Harry. Yeah,
me and Vish did some damage there this week. Me, Vish, and Mel.
Yeah,
we all 3 of us.
By the way, shout out to her. She picked this jersey up before they sold them out for me because I wasn't in town. So
yeah, I think it's pretty sweet.
Shout out to her for running that. Yeah.
We'll be doing some more content from there soon as well, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you follow us on X at 6 Rings Canes. Also, wherever it is you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you get your podcast, make sure you check out the podcast. Also, subscribe to us on the internet, on the Google thing, on the Google machine. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes network. On YouTube. Subscribe, give us a like, shout us out, and make sure you keep it locked here for next Monday. We will be reviewing the Kings' victory.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to the audio podcast. Again, you'll find it everywhere. So this show goes out there and been chopped up in segments. So if you're in your car sitting in there in this freaking traffic, I sat in it all day today. You're not going to watch on YouTube. You can get it on the audio. So.
That's right. And the audio
more easy on the eyes too for a lot of you probably, but hey.
on your way home from work or going to work, you can check it out. So make sure you check it out. A lot of stuff on the comments as well today. We appreciate the back and forth. We love it. Kane 67.
Man. Saying
I'm right. Yeah, no, it's not an Oklahoma jersey.
I know you're jealous. You can pick it up at. There's still a few left. Jeremy was saying they're almost sold out at the team store. They're also available at. We're equal opportunity here. They also have it at all Canes. There's some left over there too.
Jeremy's the dude. What's his name? Right, the dude that works with Harry there.
Yeah,
he's a cool dude, man.
Yeah, Jeremy over there said they only have a few left, but there were some at all Canes too. So. Cool. There are other either or if you're looking to pick this bad boy up, but they're almost out. So. I don't know when the re-up is coming.
Pound the rock on the hated Gator.
That is the plan. Damian Martinez going for 200.
A lot of innuendos going on in today's show. I don't know what's going on with you guys today, but it's Gator week. I get it. So
Pound the rock is just running
the football.
That's not where's your head out? Sure, you complete the trifecta because first I did, then DJ did it. That was you.
Oh man, I love it. Hey, my head is somewhere else apparently.
Tune in next Monday for more innuendo. Apparently,
this is called 6 Rings Canes innuendos. That's it. Hashtag innuendo. All right. when you
Six
post
rings
like
after
this,
dark.
follow us on Twitter and give us a shout out and do hashtag Canes Innuendo. Canes Innuendo, please.
Hopefully we're this happy next week. So
that would be great. I swear. Listen, how about this? If we get more than 10 followers or guys that have watched the show, or guys, girls that have watched the show, tweet us on Twitter
at Six Rings
Canes. Okay, put a picture, whatever. Okay, whatever you want, Canes related, but hashtag Canes Innuendo, and I'm gonna get you guys a gift, courtesy of the 5 Region Sports Network. I do this kind of crazy shit every once in a while, Vish. Vish is probably going to scream at me when we're done with the show. Be like, what the hell? What are you talking about? We'll figure it out, but you'll get a gift courtesy of the 5 Region Sports Network, and we'll get it to you. All right? Maybe we'll meet at a tailgate. I'll get it for you. I'll mail it to you, whatever it is. But it's on me. I got this. 10 or more, and we're going to pick a winner. We're going to pick a winner, and you're going to get a gift from the 5 Region Sports Network. Hashtag. You got to tag us, obviously. You got to tag us and then hashtag Canes Innuendo. Yes, but it has to be together, Canes67. I'm not here on the show, on Twitter. Get it together. Jesus Christ. Anyways, 10 people. If 10 people don't do it, nobody gets, the shirt or the hat or I don't know.
I don't even. What? All right, so this is why you got to run stuff past me.
I can't do this.
This is why I do the admin for the show. Like, who are we giving this thing to?
The winner.
We're gonna pick
the winner of what? You asked
if
10
more than
people.
10 people, if more than 10 people do this on Twitter,
we're gonna randomize it probably, right?
Okay. So here's what. God, it's gonna be hard. All right, so this is why I do the logistics.
Gonna be so pissed at me.
No, that's why I do logistics here. Let me bite-size this.
I always bite-size with a bunch of stuff.
Okay. All right. I might have to institute some show prep around here. I mean, it's the point.
This is just all done with life right now.
No. Here's what we'll do, right? So exactly what Jess said. If we get 10 people to tag us with some kind of Florida hate pick, and the hashtag Canes Innuendo, if at least 10 people do it, next week we'll put you on the picker where we'll spin it, and whoever it lands on gets a free something.
This is why he has to help me out, because I'm over here doing shit. I don't know what I'm saying. This is like, oh God, we got like a smart one on the damn. Jeez Louise.
Quality control, right, Fish?
Yeah, something like that.
Emphasis on quality.
I'm out of control, man. I haven't eaten. I've been working all day. Give me a break, all right? Just give me a break.
And you have to spell innuendo right for that.
You're disqualified.
You really have got grammar police on this show, man.
Oh my God, this is too much. Okay. Anyways, we love you guys. Thank you for the support. Make sure you do whatever it is that Vish said to do. And it's all about you, baby. Go Canes. Get out of here. We're done.
The 6 Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The 6 Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Cane Show. You know.